We're in the elevator of his building and we're riding up, and the tension is already so high because I don't really know what's going to happen next. We go out of the elevator, he opens the door to his apartment, we step in, he closes the door, and then we kissed. No, actually, that's just the name of the podcast.
Julia and a guy sitting in a tree. Kissing.
Hello, and welcome back to And Then We Kissed, the podcast on the funny, the confusing, and the unforgettable stories behind my kiss list. I'm Julia, your host, and I'm sitting here with Katja, my best friend.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be back.
Our first guest host of the season. I'm really happy you're here.
I'm so glad you invited me.
And you've got pink hair.
Yes.
And the camera is finally catching it.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad that we finally have it on camera so everyone can see it as well. Amazing. We are here to talk about lucky number 13 today.
That's actually my favorite number.
Is it really?
It is really. It's actually a number that I really love.
How did I not know this about you? You learn something new every year, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, but we're here to talk about number 13. But before we get into that, a quick disclaimer. We're not here to try and make anyone the bad guy. Everyone has their own different side of the story. This one is mine, my thoughts, my feelings, and how I remember it. He might tell it differently, and that's okay. We've also changed the details to keep the privacy of everyone protected.
And we also have nicknames.
That is true. I mean, I've already talked about this in earlier episodes. Katja this is the first time that Katja is hearing about this. We actually don't have the best nicknames for everyone in the beginning because they're kind of like the origin story. And it's all very simple. This one already has a nickname. We don't actually have to come up with one. This one's nickname is the asshole.
Yes.
Do with that information what you will. You might know where this is heading. You also might not. We shall see. Before we get into it, Katja, what's your fun little drink?
Today I have a sugar-free Red Bull. It's really important. It's not Red Bull Zero because that tastes absolutely horrendous.
Disgusting.
It's Red Bull sugar-free, even though I think the Zero version looks nicer because it's matte.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That can looks a little weird.
I'm the type of person that orders a black coffee because I want to cut out the sugar and then a big slice of cake with it. That's me. So I had a lot of sugar today for food, but now it's the Red Bull sugar-free.
Amazing.
What are you having for a fun little drink?
I have something sugar-free as well, I think. No, I think there's actually sugar in it. Never mind. But it's like a it's like a fair lemonade kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's pink, of course.
Of course.
What else would it be? It actually matches my nails.
I think pink is kind of the theme of the episode.
Pink is the theme of everything in my life. I don't know if you've
and
noticed.
That's what I love about you.
Yeah, but this is like a fair lemonade thing. I've had it on the podcast before. It's not like super intense. What I appreciate about it is that I don't think it's going to overstimulate me. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of the fun little drinks that I drink on here leave me completely like going crazy afterwards because I'm so sensitive to sugar and everything. Guys, we're not against sugar, by the way.
No, nothing against sugar.
That's not the case.
That's not the case. As I said, I love a good slice of cake.
But we love sugar.
Yeah.
Just
10 out of 10.
Shall we open it?
Yes, please. And I also have a straw with a little butterfly on it.
Same.
That's blue, so it also fits the drink.
Mine is pink and matches mine.
I love us for that.
Cheers. Ooh.
Nice. Cheers.
Cheers. Perfect. Let's get right into it.
I'm all ears.
One thing to know right off the bat is that Katja already knows the story. I mean, Katja's been my best friend for ages. I've already said so in season 1. She's been around for ages. She knows a lot of the stuff. And with this one, there was actually a massive discussion that we had that slightly disrupted our friendship at the time. Not majorly, but slightly, because her and I had somewhat different viewpoints about it. And I remember years later, we talked about it again. And then we actually realized that we were thinking a lot similarly than we were at the time. And we want to rehash the discussion today to see where we're at with this today. So I'm excited.
I'm so excited to hear the story again because I have something I have left in my mind about the story.
Oh.
But like really few things. So I'm really like excited to hear the story again and to make up my thoughts again.
Yeah.
About what I'm hearing and like with my views that I have now.
Like how you view it today with
Totally.
your current value system and everything.
Yeah.
I'm really excited, even though he is an asshole after all.
Yeah.
So, as you know, number 13, we have progressed a little in my first dating experiences, but we actually haven't come that much further down the timeline. Last episode, we were talking about number 6, I think. Obviously, some guys happened in between, nothing too big to write home about, but like, again, it wasn't that much further in the timeline. This was during my final exams. This is when it started. I had already started being on dating apps. That was already a thing with number 5, as you remember, episode 2. And during my final exams, I mean, how do I put this? I was horny as fuck. I was desperate. It was desperate times. If there's one thing about me is that I hate studying and I'm horny as fuck while studying. It's a thing, unfortunately.
I get that. I get that with work, actually. Like, I hate work, but during work, I get so horny. And then after work, I'm like, where did it go?
Never mind, it's gone.
Never mind.
And so I didn't know exactly how to deal with it at the time. Quite frankly, I still don't. I went on dating apps and then I swiped right on him. We started messaging and quickly came to realize that he didn't live that far away from my parents, where I was still living at the time. And I had decided, you know what, I'm going to meet him. I'm just going to meet him. That wasn't the first casual encounter that I had. I had just had one recently, like before that. Nothing big to write home about, nothing to make an episode about. But that was already disappointing. But so he was one of the first people, I can tell you right now, we were going to have sex. So this was going to be one of the first people that I had slept with in my life. Also one of the first casual encounters. So he picks me up from a tube station and I'm already going there. I'm nervous because I didn't tell my parents where I was going, obviously. Even though my parents are not like the strictest, I don't think my mom would have appreciated it. By the way, Mom, I know you're listening. I'm sorry. But I did tell Katja because I was like, safety first. I'm going to tell my best friend who cannot do shit about this if something happens to me where I am. I don't know.
Because the worst thing a guy can encounter on a date is that the girl doesn't look like her picture. But the worst thing you can have as a woman is like, oh, he might murder me.
Oh, he might rape me.
Someone should always know where you are.
Yeah, I don't know what good that would necessarily do. I think it does do some kind of good, but like, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that I told you his address. Yeah. Probably did. Didn't know exactly.
I think I remember, yeah.
So, okay, picks me up from a tube station. I think he looks like his pictures, looks somewhat handsome maybe. Definitely older than I am. Definitely older. I am like barely legal. Essentially, he must have been a couple of years older than I was at the time. Had his own apartment as well. Was working.
Like totally different life stages.
Very different life stages. Also, FYI, this is the first time that I'm realizing this, and I've thought about this encounter with him a lot. Why the fuck was he hooking up with me when I was a student at school? Mm-hmm. It's the first time that I'm realizing that.
Yeah, like the older I get, and then I view like students, I'm like, why would someone think that's a good match? Like,
there's something really weird about that. Yeah. I mean, he had his own apartment. He was obviously a lot further in life than I was. Mm-hmm. He was working, he had his apartment,
like he was making his own money, paying his own bills, and you were like, your biggest stress was to like
go through finals.
Yeah.
Oh, this is weird. This is getting weirder the minute I think about it. Okay, let's continue with the conversation.
Yeah, please.
Everyone knew what was going to happen. He brings me over to his place. We're in the elevator. The tension is climbing. We get out of the elevator. He unlocks the apartment door. The thing is, I was not entirely certain how this was going to progress because this was one of the first casual encounters that I had. As soon as I'm in the apartment, he kind of pushes me against the wall and kisses me. And he closes the door. And I thought it was very hot, but I was also overwhelmed by how quickly it went.
First time you met?
First time we met.
Okay.
Maybe 5 minutes into the encounter. Mm-hmm. Wild shit. Wild shit. I know he poured me a drink, kind of hung out, kind of watched TV, stuff happened. I can remember that I did think it was kind of hot what happened He was doing some things that I generally was into. It still wasn't the best sex ever, like actually not good to be honest, but at the time, I remember when I was walking home afterwards, I was sending Katja a voice message and I was like, it's the best sex I've ever had.
I think that's also the point why guys want to meet with such young girls.
Probably.
Because they don't have the experience and then
there's nothing to
they're
compare.
not good.
Yeah.
Maybe they know that, but they get the praise from younger girls.
Yeah.
So they need that because if they would meet up with a woman their age.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite frank, he didn't give a shit about me. I mean, who's surprised? Not just like in bed, he just generally did not care how I was doing emotionally. I remember that I was very all over the place at his place, kind of wanted his attention, was kind of overwhelmed, and he was just kind of like, just figure it out and get back here already, or like, if you leave, I don't really care, like, you do you. The more I look back on it, the more I'm just like, oh my God, like, I think I'm probably older now than he was at the time. And it's absolutely disgusting behavior, to be honest. I remember that I met up with him a second time because I did think it was really hot. Again, for me at the time, it was the best sex ever. And I was still extremely horny during my final exams. And I did want to see him again. So we did meet up a second time. And I also was really amazed, you know, like, own apartment, and it was like somewhat nicely furnished. The bed was really big and comfy, and there was so much privacy, and that wasn't necessarily something that I had really encountered a lot in my dating life at the time, because obviously I was living with my parents. A lot of the people that I was dating were living with their parents. Just you know, I was really amazed by everything, but I also remember feeling somewhat weird by his behavior. I was feeling very, very weird, because the thing is, for me, this is coming from a very vulnerable place, to be quite honest. But I do think that it is very important to talk about. To be quite honest, I mean, you guys have probably already thought as much because I've given hints in season 1, but I've never actually outright said it in my podcast before. I also didn't think that I would say it before recording, but I am realizing now, I think it's a very important topic and I have to name what it is. I am quite interested in kinky sex, and I was already at the time. It's something that I already explored with my first boyfriend to a degree, but this was one of the first times that I encountered kinky sex outside of my relationship with my first boyfriend. And one of the reasons why I was so turned on by him is because he was acting like something that I am turned on by, which is essentially an asshole. And it took me ages to realize that while I am turned on by a guy somewhat behaving like an asshole in the bedroom, I am not turned on by an actual guy being an asshole, and he was an asshole. And it didn't hit me until years later, to be quite honest, that I was feeling so immensely exhausted and drained and not good after meeting up with him, because he just did not care for me.
That's the point. Like, you want someone that cares. The most important part is you have to feel safe. And there's so much more about having kinky sex than just having the sex. It's the foreplay. It's the how you talk about it beforehand, aftercare, how you talk about it afterwards,
The
and stuff like that.
psychological stage.
Yes, exactly. And it's not just, oh, he behaves like an asshole. I like that.
I think the important part, if we were to really simplify it, you need to feel like you can stop at any given point and it doesn't disrupt the connection that you have to them. It doesn't make you like less valuable to them in that point. And I think that this is important for any kind of sex, to be quite honest, for vanilla sex as well. You need to feel like you can stop, and that your partner that you are engaging in this activity with in that moment will not kind of look at you like, well, what worth are you to me in this moment? And that's something that he did not do. He did not care. I was there for one thing. I was there to be useful to him. And so whenever I felt uncertain in the moment, he did not care, because he simply did not care for me. And that's what left me feeling so emotionally taxing afterwards, that I didn't really know how to deal with that. Because again, for me, the way he was behaving was extremely hot.
But it's so much work for such a young age.
It's generally so much work.
Yeah.
You need to feel emotionally safe to engage in anything that is vulnerable. And if your partner cannot give you that, it's not good. Given the materials that we have nowadays, the sources, you can look all of this up online. What really changed for me was TikTok, to be honest. 2020, COVID, your very typical experience. And that's the first time that I was encountering people talking about a lot of stuff that I could identify with, but I never had the words for. And I remember growing up, I did have like a little booklet, like a BDSM for beginners or something like that. But that didn't really teach me the ins and outs of the psychological state that you had to be in, about trust with your partner, about communication with your partner, and how to ensure that you felt good, and how to detect a good partner. And because no one was really talking about this in general outside of kinky stuff as well, no one was talking about this in vanilla in any sort of thing, that was really difficult for me to decipher.
So because talking about sex in general was such a taboo and is still such a taboo.
Yeah.
And that's like the whole point of this podcast.
Yeah.
To just talk about that openly.
About like the interpersonal connections of it as well, and just to kind of reflect on, like, to put stuff into words that maybe all of us feel and struggle to put into words.
So to not make you feel alone. Like,
yeah,
maybe you have had the same stuff and you hear us talking about it and see, oh yeah, there are other people out there. We share the same experiences.
To be honest, I guys, I never say this during the episode, but if you do feel like you can actually relate to this, I would appreciate like a comment or anything, because again, this is coming from a very vulnerable place. I'm sure that people probably do feel like this. I've seen people on Reddit feel like this, but it is quite a thing because I was so young. Again, it took me ages to come to that point to really figure out the mess of feelings that I was feeling. Because I just kept remembering him like, okay, it was really hot, but I also kind of didn't want to, but I did. Like, my brain did not want to, but my body was being pulled towards him. And it took me a long time to be able to decipher those very contrary feelings. We only met up twice during my finals, and then it just kind of, we didn't really message each other anymore, or it didn't work out. I'm not entirely certain. And then about a year later, I remember that he messaged me again, like out of nowhere, and he was asking if we could meet up. And so I said, okay. We met up at a public place, and he kind of apologized, but he was also kind of trying to get me back. And he was doing it in this weird power play way that was low-key working on me, and kind of also not, because I was standing my ground. I mean, I think that we did that entire thing for like an hour, where he was just like waiting if I would make a step towards him, but I was not. I did want to kiss him. I did want to go home with him, but there was like something in me that was just like, no, don't do it. Looking back, very proud of baby Julia, because I would still probably fold today.
I think the guy came with a mission to that meeting, and he had his thoughts about it, and he still was older than you. So
yes,
yeah, that's totally fair. I think I also would fall for that kind of today. Because
depending on how horny you are.
Yeah, at the end of the day, when you're horny and you're socialized but with wanting attention from men. Yeah.
It was also that I did want to have sex with him, but I could sense that his apology wasn't real. And that was, I think, my biggest issue. You know, being young, had trouble verbalizing all of it. Couldn't really put it into words, couldn't really organize my thoughts at the time. And so one feeling was like, I want to. The other feeling was like, this is weird. And so my like superficial thinking system, if you will, don't really know how to put that, was just kind of thinking, well, I do want to do this. Like, you can trust him. He did just apologize. Obviously, he has reflected and he's a better guy. He's changed. And then my gut feeling was kind of like, this does not seem sincere. This does not seem like he's actually done any of the work. This just seems like he's coming here saying all of the right words just so at the end of the day I would take off my clothing again for him and spread my legs.
Another thing is one part in us, I think I speak for the two of us, is we don't want to feed into the system. We don't want to let this slide in general. That's one thing I know I always had in mind. Not like a big part of it, but it's always this fight between what do I want? I want to live my life. I want to have what I want. But also, I don't want to let this slide, because when I say yes to that, I'm feeding into a system that I don't want to.
That's really interesting that you're saying that. I don't know if I was consciously thinking of that at the time. I was mostly thinking of myself, but I probably didn't want to say yes simply because I didn't want to feed into the system of like how he was treating me. I don't know if I was necessarily thinking of others in that moment.
No, I don't. I get what you're saying. I don't think we thought about other people in that moment. But there's also always in the back of our minds, like, that doesn't feel right in a bigger picture also.
Okay, yeah. I think I know what you mean. Like, our first thought is ourselves.
Yeah.
But then we're also kind of like,
yeah, this is that itch.
This is icky, what you're doing. This feels weird. 100%.
Yeah.
I ended up, I might have kissed him that day. I'm not sure, but I definitely didn't go home with him. And then it kind of didn't progress any further that time either. And then I think maybe months later or a year later or so, I'm not entirely certain when this was, he texted me again. He was kind of like, do you want to meet up? And I at the time had forgotten about him, had forgotten about like how he treated me. And I was genuinely open to meeting up with him to have sex again. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I can come over. I think I was also in a state at that point where I was just horny and just wanted to have sex. Remembered that it was quite hot with him, had not deciphered yet that he was an asshole, that I found his behavior hot, but didn't also really like his behavior. And so in that moment, I was just like, yes, let's meet up. I want to have sex. So I suggested I can come over to your place again because he still lived there. And he was like, oh, but wouldn't it be so hot if we like did it on a bench in a park?
I just remembered everything about this conversation. And when you told me...
Imagine leading with that. You haven't had sex in 2 years and you're just like,
yeah, let's just be in the park.
I would love to have sex on a park bench.
Wow. You're just
Tell
reading
me
my
more.
mind, boy.
Tell me more. I'm so red for you right now. What the fuck?
No, actually, just fuck your comfy bed. Let's do it on a really hard park bench in the middle of everywhere.
Like where anyone could see us at any given point, where no one would consent to seeing that. I've never heard a better idea, boy. Let's go.
Oh my god, let me risk a bladder infection for someone I already forgot. Wow.
For real. 100%. Also, let me just risk being completely humiliated because, like, I don't know, someone could catch us or something. I kind of thought that the idea was hot, and I was generally not against maybe at some point trying that out. But I mean, there are certain precautions that I think that you would need to do. I wasn't thinking about that necessarily at the time, but my gut was certainly thinking about that because it's not just like humiliating for yourself if someone finds you. It's much worse for the person finding you that was not expecting to find someone having sex, and like other people need to consent to that as well. That's like my one thing that I have with public sex. I understand how hot it can be that someone could catch you, but just think of the discomfort that the other person might feel. And there were also thoughts of like, it was just generally like, how would we do that so no one would catch us, just for us, for them, whatever. So I was not necessarily opposed, and I told him maybe down to 9, but I wouldn't want like the first time to be on a park bench. Let's just go to yours. And he just kept pushing the park bench. And I was like, why are you pushing the park bench? You have an apartment. Why don't we just go to your apartment? And it kept a bit of pushing on my side until he was like, well, so the thing is that like there's a woman there, of course, that like has a key to my apartment. And I was like, why does a woman have like wait, are you single? And he's
That
like, yeah.
sounds so random. There's a woman having a key to my apartment.
And I was like, are you single? And he's like, no, yeah, I am. And I was like, does the woman know you're single? Like, is she aware? Why does a woman have the key to your apartment if you're single? So if this is serious enough that she has the key to your apartment and she could come over whenever without telling you about it ahead of time, and she could catch you and she would mind catching you with me, then why is it okay that we meet up? That seems fishy. And we already know that I'm a very open-minded person.
In Franconia, we say, "Having a Geschmäckle." Having a Geschmäckle.
Has a weird taste to it,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
Having a Geschmäckle. Weird
Does
taste to
have a
it.
weird taste.
Yeah.
I think if you would have told me that they were in an open relationship and they were living together and that they had the agreement that they wouldn't fuck other people in their own apartment, I would have said, okay, cool. I'm still not doing it on a park bench, but where else are we going to go? And I think that would still be the case today, because I, out of all people, do not have anything against open relationships. Monogamy is not true for everyone. Cool. That did not seem consensual or communicative, though.
Like the little bits he just gave you, like, just be honest, just give me the full picture and we can talk about it.
From the get-go as well.
Yeah, but it just makes it weirder and weirder when you just give me like little bits of the story.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
especially if I have to keep
Yeah.
getting them out of you. I have to keep pushing you to give me more information. And then also, why is it so weird that it would be an issue if she caught us, but also it's completely cool that we're doing this? Something is fishy. Something is really weird. Now, I was really horny though at the time. And this is where Katja's and mine big discussion set in. I sent her a voice message about the entire situation and I said, would I be the bad person here if I were to sleep with him still, knowing that there might be another woman?
And there were 2 points at that time. I was really a black or white person. There were no grays in my views.
Like, no nuances.
You're either the bad person or the good person. There's no in between. And second of all, I was still under the impression that the woman had to do the work. Like, the woman had to decide if this was good or bad, if this was okay or not, and if this was about to happen or not. Like, no pressure on the guy. He did not have to do anything. It's just, you are the woman, even though you're younger and you're not in this relationship, you had to decide what's right or wrong.
Yeah.
That was my view.
And then there's also the added thing of like, boys will be boys. Okay, he's an asshole, he's gonna hurt her, but it's like, if I sleep with him, then it's gonna hurt her, but if I don't sleep with him, then it's not gonna hurt her. Like, it felt like it was, at the end of the day, me deciding this, even though it wasn't the case, because if he was willing to sleep with me, he was willing to sleep with anyone. And I think, so nowadays I think about it this way. I say I would morally not be responsible. I am not the one that has agreed upon exclusivity. I have not made a promise. I would not be breaking any promises. So I would also not necessarily say that someone that helped another person cheat would be in the wrong in that sense. That being said, I don't think I could necessarily go through with it today if I were to know about it.
It's quite hard to think about it because you did not have all the information at that time.
That's a very good point.
Because you still don't know if he was cheating on her. Like you said, maybe they had an open relationship. Maybe there was a good explanation to everything he did.
Yeah.
He just did not want to tell you because he did not want to scare you, because he really wanted to have sex with you.
He was not very forthcoming with the information.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
So you don't know if you really were part of a cheat on her.
Good point. If we were to continue the discussion based on the idea that I would have helped cheat, I think nowadays I would say I would not be in the morally wrong, but I would not be able to go through with it just because I don't really want to hurt anyone. And I was also questioning myself and my own judgment if I was being egoistic, horny and egoistic about the situation. But I already was having the opinion at the time. I was just forming it under these circumstances. And I remember that you gave me a lot of heat for it. And that's also one of the reasons why I then in the end didn't go through with it. Also because it was feeling icky and I still didn't want to do it on the park bench. But mostly because you were so on my ass about it and you were like, no, you would be the bad person here. You would hurt her, whatever. And I know that we talked about it years later. And then you told me that you thought very differently about it.
Yeah, I think nowadays, as you said, I don't think I could hook up with a guy when I knew this would mean he cheats on his girlfriend. Just because of everything that is behind that, because he lies to her.
Yeah.
That means in my head, he's a liar. So he would lie to me. And that's like all this that comes with it. Like he's disingenuous, he's just not honest. He does not stand his words. Like it's everything that I need.
It's an icky value system to be with as yourself already.
So does that mean when, like you said, consent is really important and being able to stop every time when you're not feel comfortable? But she did not consent to that and he doesn't care. So would he care about my consent? I think that's everything.
That's such a good point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that's everything that would come. Maybe not like in these words, but in the back of my mind, that would be the things.
Like a feeling that you're going through in that moment. So
I don't think I would be the bad guy or you would be the bad guy in that situation, because we're talking about you. Wouldn't be the bad girl in that situation. I don't think I could go through with it, but I wouldn't just blame you. I don't think I would blame you in any way. I mean, I have this being a girl's girl in the back of my mind that would be a little bit like, Julia, what are you doing to another woman? But you are like basically not doing anything to another woman.
It's a weird situation.
Yeah, it's weird.
You are feeding into the system.
Yeah.
You're also not responsible for his actions. Because again, if he's going to do it with you, he's going to do it with someone else.
Exactly.
Does that mean, though, that you should be doing it? It's a weird... My views have changed yet again to the last time we've had this conversation, which is exactly what you said, like, girl's girl.
And I don't want to make a man happy when he's that kind of man, because having sex with him
is going to make him happy.
It's going to make him happy.
It's going to reward him.
Yeah, and I don't want that reward for him, even though I really want that.
Yeah.
I think the part of me that doesn't want that for him is a little bit bigger.
I don't even view it that way. I'm just thinking of her. I think if I were to try and verbalize it now, thoughts and feelings are, who's the bad guy? He's the bad guy. He's the cheater. I would not be the one cheating. That being said, I would not be able to go through with it. And if I would hear about another person doing it knowingly, I would want to know the entire situation before making a judgment. But there's a good chance that I would immediately question the judgment of that friend who's helping. Simply because of everything that you had said, it feels like such an icky situation for yourself. It also feels like an icky situation to put another woman in. Mind you, I did also back then try with Katja's help to figure out if there's any way of letting her know about this. We were contemplating, like, what do we know about him? Is there a way that we can somehow, I don't know, like figure out her Facebook profile or so at the time? But we never got to that point because we didn't know enough about him. There was no way that we could have contacted her. There was no way that we could have figured out who she was. I think looking back now, we could have maybe put a letter in his letterbox and hoped that she would find it, but that would have been such a big maybe. I don't think that would have been realistic that she finds it.
It's also a big step into another relationship, which is still like, are we really in the position to do that? But at that time, I was a really black or white person and I was painting you as the bad guy.
I know that at the time, and then a couple of years later, I was kind of annoyed at you for that. Looking back now, glad that you kept me from pursuing anything with him further. I think I would have gotten entangled in such a difficult situation already. Doesn't really matter who was in the right or wrong. It would have been a really icky, really weird situation. And I think for that, I'm really grateful that maybe you didn't communicate it in the best way, but you definitely kept me from a lot of drama that I shouldn't have had gone through at the time. how would I react nowadays? The thing is, you know, while I keep thinking about like, would I judge a friend that would do this or whatever, I know people, acquaintances that have been the other woman or the other man, and depending on the situation, I sometimes judge them for it and sometimes not. But overall, I always think that everyone is doing the best that they can. And I still stand by it that the person that's really the bad person is the one that's cheating. And the other person might be making a massive mistake, but at the end of the day, they're not breaking a promise.
But the question we all have in our minds now, did you have sex on a park bench?
With him? No.
Yeah. Okay. Just I was dying to get the answer to that question.
I'm glad that we talked about it again because, to be honest, I didn't even realize how my thoughts on it had evolved even further than I thought. Because the girls go was a really excellent point on your side. But then again, I think that's like the number one thing that I was trying to get across before. I think even with the entire girls go movement, which is so important, by the way, it's so important that we have each other's backs. At the end of the day, we really are humans that are doing the best that we can and we make mistakes. And even with trying to be a girl's girl, I think that I might fail, even without meaning to. You can't always think of the other person. Sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. I think as long as we're not intentionally trying to hurt anyone, we're okay. It's a difficult thing. Because it also, I think that the entire discussion is rooted in this idea of how responsible are we as women for the damage that a man does to another woman. And that is a really important topic, but also such a massive one that's difficult.
And also, like, as a woman, you have to do the right thing. You can't be in the wrong ever. You have to think about everything and have everyone's feelings in mind because you're the woman. You have to take care. And
yes, and
being a girl's girl has to be perfect.
And so it's almost for your own freedom, you almost need to break away from doing everything right at any given point, but then you will inevitably hurt another woman, which you also don't want to do. It's so difficult being a woman.
Like, seriously. I think different people have different opinions for that situation, and I think that's okay. I don't think there is a right answer to it. There's no right behavior. That's the thing.
I think that's a really lovely ending, actually. It's okay. And we're going to think about this differently in 20 years again. Totally. We're going to sit on season 62 or so. And then we're going to talk about this all over again.
All over again.
And we're going to have very different opinions. It's going to be so much fun. I mean, red flags, obviously so many.
So many. Like, this whole guy is a red flag. His name is literally asshole.
I mean, and like...
Nothing against assholes in general.
As we would say in German, zu Recht. Zu Recht.
So nämlich.
So nämlich. Of course his name is asshole.
Of course his name is asshole.
You
now know why.
You now know why. It's very fitting.
Yeah.
Did I show any red flags? Big thing.
I don't necessarily... The thing is, you're my best friend. And everything you do is right to me. But I don't think you have any red flags. Just, like, not against other... Like, not for other people. Maybe some red flags to yourself. Like, you did not take... Like, you brought yourself in a situation where you weren't really comfortable. And maybe they weren't worth it. But at the end, you learned from them.
Yeah, good point.
So red flags for yourself, yes, but red flags for other people, I don't think so.
I think I could have generally thought less about my horniness.
Yeah.
In terms of doing it on a park bench, maybe don't do it on a park bench where other people could catch you. In terms of not being a girl's girl towards the other girl, maybe be a girl's girl. I think in that sense I could have thought more about other people. But then again, it's not like I actually went through with it. I didn't not go through with it for the right reasons, but still, I definitely did get better with that, though. I'm a lot more conscious about what other people think now. Also, not really surprising looking back. Obviously, I was so young. I was barely legal. Obviously, I was only thinking about myself. That was exactly what I should be doing also at that time. When you are that young, when you are only starting to become an adult, really getting into it all, you need to only be thinking about yourself. So
a lot of hormones involved, a lot of other stuff happening.
Drama.
I think that's totally fine
yeah, it is.
to not be aware of everything that's happening at that moment.
Favorite question? Kiss, marry, kill. Kill.
Kill? Like, thinking from a Julia at that time perspective, or a Katja at that time perspective, like, I don't really knew him, but everything you said with him being kind of handsome and you liking some stuff about him,
I'm so surprised.
I'm kind of leaning towards kiss. Not because he was a nice guy in general, but kill.
But also, we are looking at it from like today's perspective.
Okay, from today's perspective, if I see a guy that is in his mid-20s maybe, and he's hooking up with an 18-year-old,
Kill.
kind of, kill. Definitely kill. Especially in the way he behaved with
in the
you.
entire way. In the
Yeah,
entire way
yeah.
that he was behaving, it's a kill.
It's a kill.
I think for sure, looking at it at that time, I would have not said kill. I would have said, what the fuck is this segment? No, I would have said like kiss. But like, that's not the point. The point is how are we looking at it
How are we looking at
today?
it today? Yeah, you're right.
I would not again. And I do feel immensely uncomfortable knowing that he like knowingly slept with a student. Even if I was doing my finals, even if I was so close to not being a student anymore, I was still in school. That's weird.
He knew he was sleeping with a student and he knew he was cheating on a girl. We don't know that for sure, but it's a man and he was like acting kind of weird. I don't know what it should have been otherwise. So yeah, it's a kill. It's a kill. Definitely a kill.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so glad that we talked about it.
I'm so glad you invited me for that.
It was very necessary. It also helped me evolve, like look at it a bit differently. Yeah, regarding the kinky stuff, we're definitely going to talk about it again in the future on this podcast, not necessarily this season, but in the future there's going to be more talks on this topic. Glad that you were here today. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you for having me.
Always appreciate it.
It was so nice.
Always appreciate it. Guys, that was the thoughts and feelings that I had regarding Mr. 13 the asshole. Looking back, actually, fitting number for him.
Yeah. I don't like my lucky number now.
No, you can still like your lucky number.
He won't destroy my, I won't let a man destroy my lucky number.
There you go. That's
Not
the
a
right
man.
way of thinking. Not
a kill man.
Not a man. So those were the thoughts and feelings regarding Mr. 13. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you have ever encountered anything similar, please let me know in the comments so I do not feel alone. Would highly appreciate it. If if you would like some updates on when I'm posting the next episode or some behind the scene footage, feel free to follow me along on my socials. I've got them linked in the description box below. And with that, I can only say in 2 weeks' time, Sophie, my roommate, will be back to talk about our first real talk of the season. Very excited about that. Yeah, and until then, go kiss someone that's not an asshole and actually treats you really, really well. And then we'll pop back with the details.
Period.
Bye.
Bye.